In higher education, instructors across the curriculum are helping their students develop a broader set of essential creative skills. Whether in the sciences, in humanities, or in business, they're designing engaging projects that challenge students to practice and develop creativity, digital communication, collaboration, and critical thinking, and as a result, preparing students for their futures. For example, students are more likely to develop evergreen and transferable skills if they design an infographic that seeks to persuade visually, produce a podcast about an academic or social issue, prototype a citizen science mobile app, identify a communication gap at their institution, and design a solution, work together to publish research in a student journal, design a prototype of an app as part of a business pitch, or create an interdisciplinary portfolio for employers. In moving beyond a traditional focus on content knowledge, you can assess the application of content knowledge and essential creative skills. Let's hear from experts who have experience implementing these practices in higher education.
In thinking about the kinds of projects that my students complete in order to help them develop these essential creative skills, I like to think about putting them in situations where they are creating, producing, or making in as many different sort of contexts with as many different kinds of intellectual tools as possible. I'll give you an example. In our first year writing class, students have 3 unit projects, 1 unit on the humanities, 1 unit on the social sciences, and 1 unit on the sciences. And not only are they experiencing those different disciplines in sort of a triangular relationship to each other, but they're also composing, writing, researching, and sharing what they're doing in different modalities. So for example, in the humanities unit, they might make a documentary film about a social issue that's connected to a piece of art. In the science unit, they might use InDesign to create a undergraduate research journal that collects all of the scientific literature reviews they're doing about, let's say, a current healthcare issue. In the social science unit, they might be making a podcast where they're interviewing a local government leader about a particular issue that's connected with the community. And so the idea here is not only to put them in different disciplinary contexts right next to each other, but also shift the modalities of what they're doing so they're getting almost a 3-dimensional experience, which is the kinds of projects that I believe transfer these skills to other different contexts.
When I'm teaching college or university students, I often find it's really small tweaks to my projects or assignments that can elevate them towards getting to cultivating essential or 21st century skills. So for instance, instead of asking students to write a persuasive essay, all I'll do is tweak it one step and say, and now imagine you're writing it for a popular magazine. And now suddenly they're thinking about the audience and style and tone slightly differently. And then I'll say, and imagine the magazine is online. And so you're thinking about formatting as a page, and you get to include images, videos, or other multimedia. This is incredible 2-for-1 for me because A, it gets them engaging with their argument and the subject matter more deeply and coming at it from different angles. But 2, it's also preparing them for the real world, whether it's their careers or their civic life, to make sure that they can communicate their ideas with impact in slightly different formats using digital skills or different media. The bonus is students are often more engaged as well. Suddenly it feels exciting, real world, and they have something in their back pocket they can actually take with them. These small little changes I find can be truly impactful, both for the learning goals of my students, but also giving them those extra skills and deepening their engagement in my courses.
My process involves defining, explaining, and critiquing. First, you want to clearly identify what the students are supposed to create. Then, explain to them how and why this project is relevant to them. Next, you want to practice giving meaningful and constructive project critique. You want to give feedback that's based on the design principles rather than personal views and subjective remarks. Finally, let the students share and talk and share their ideas and thoughts. You'll be surprised what they come up with. I learn from them every day.
So what are some ways that higher educators can develop essential skills within the classroom for students? Well, the first thing I would suggest you do is after every assignment, have the students do self-reflection surveys. This seems very simple, but ask them questions like, what did you learn? What are the objectives? Why did I assign you this assignment? Why is it important to be a project? And then also ask them what they could grow upon and build upon for the upcoming assignments. You will be blown away by the thoughtfulness that students have in this process. This is mainly because they're not asked this a lot in higher education. Actually, we kind of pass over the reflection point, and honestly, reflection is where the learning occurs.
A great practice that educators can use to develop creative skills is really to put your students in an experiential learning space. It's going to activate learning in the highest ways. In terms of Bloom's taxonomy, it brings students into that highest learning outcome, really that synthesis and that creative space. But it also is the highest in the sense of retention. So when you can drive students to have to learn by doing, fail fast, understand what happens, reflect, you're going to be in a space to really develop amazing creative skills.